So, Mike, I told Richard we kind of run through the normal questions, and then we would then we'd start to dig into the setups and all that stuff, and let him talk more about the shop.
Now recording.
Okay. And then you want to do it or me?
You can start. We can all jump in.
Okay. David, you're good on your end?
Yeah, I just started the recording.
Okay. I don't have audio on the stream. Hold on. Check, check,
Also,
check.
have you seen where I've posted the link for hours
Oh, we
on
got it.
running the Daytona 24?
Yeah, but I can't do it on my phone. I got to do it while I'm on the computer. Remind me after the show.
All right. You can either do it on the sheet or just give me the block of time and I'll adjust it.
Okay. 3, 2. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer when we talk all things, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brad Wren.
Hey, I got back to turning left this week.
Yay, we do record this live. David Hall.
I think the room is actually bouncing.
All right, John Curley.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back. Chris Randall.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, and William Westbrook.
It seems I have failed Brad as a sponsor.
Darn. And special guest Richard Murtaugh.
How's it going?
Welcome. On today's show, we will sit down with Richard Murtaugh, owner and setup builder for Premier Racing Setups. We'll see if Daniel Morag can make you faster. Did driving assist in iRacing make you faster? Beat the dead horse of the safety rating again. Tell you what Black Friday deals on hardware are already happening. Does sim racing need to ditch USB? And how did iRacing ruin its best feature?
That's right, Mike, and remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
Richard Murtaugh, well, welcome to the show. Uh, we've been wanting to get you on for a while and talk about what you're doing, but let's learn about you personally a little bit so the listeners can understand more about what you're about. So we go through our normal Q&A. Number one, what brought you to iRacing the first time, and how did you first hear about it?
So actually I I used to hate iRacing, believe it or not. I was very huge into R Factor. So I spent most of my life actually like addicted to R Factor. Like I would run all the leagues, all the money races, that sort of stuff. And then it got to the point where iRacing Dirt was coming out in the next month, and I was like trying to make the transition, and everyone was trying to talk me into it. And Dirt came out, and then I just stayed on R Factor for a couple months after it got released. But I did buy iRacing, and I tried it, and I didn't like it for the longest time, and then I ended up making the switch, and it was just one of those deals where I'm happy I made the switch, but I was such a huge R Factor guy. It kind of hurt to make the switch. It was a very big deal because we dedicated so much time on there, and had a very good program over there as well, running all the league races, big team, and we all kind of made transition over to iRacing.
Okay, and then here in 2025, there's so much going on. You got iRacing, LMU, AC, Project Cars. Where are you spending your time?
So when I'm not working or doing anything on my real life stuff, I'm strictly iRacing. But I actually just got the NASCAR 25 game. That's the first um, kind of game I bought since made the switch to iRacing. And I've been just kind of messing around with that a little bit. I'm not a NASCAR type of guy at all. I don't watch NASCAR or really do anything NASCAR related, but um, I've been kind of messing with that, and the last 2 days, ever since it came out, I've been spending a lot of time on that. But also been trying to balance it with iRacing because I just came back from a 6 month break due to obviously real life racing, and immediately picked up two huge wins Monday night. So if I'm not playing iRacing, it's been NASCAR 25 the last couple days.
And then on iRacing, is it official, hosted, league, or a mix? And what are you running? What series?
So I dedicate all my time to officials, but if there is a money race of some sort, I spend all my time practicing for those. Like I run pretty much anything that has to do with money. I chase all the big races on there. So we have all the big leagues that pay good. I like to compete in those, and then obviously we have couple races each year that pay a couple grand to win. So I run all those and just kind of all the bigger money events. So it's either officials or I'm chasing money races.
All right, cool. And as far as hardware goes, which is always a big topic, tell us where you started in hardware at the beginning with probably R Factor, but where are you today as far as what do you have for hardware, software, and what do you run in monitors, VR?
So, I actually started with a G27 wheel and pedal combo, and it was on a very tiny. It was like a play seat, or not a play seat, but it was like kind of like a had a seat, obviously place for the wheel and pedals, and then I had a. It was only like a 32-inch or 24-inch. It was small, whatever it was, screen. So that's all I had, and I did that for a couple years, and then I got sponsored by can't even pronounce it. It's was Pagnius Americas, I think it was pronounced, which is the next level racing simulator for go karts. They sponsored me the year I went down to Daytona with my cart and ended up winning. So they sponsored me for that. They gave me a sim rig, which ended up being a full cockpit, wicked nice, full containment seat, the whole 9 yards. And I ended up doing that for a couple years, and then obviously I wanted to kind of take it up the next notch. So I got a sim seats sitting next to me over here. It's triple monitors. Um, have a AccuForce. Um, let me see. I got the AccuForce V2. I got the Heisenfeld pedals, and then I'm using a custom built PC. I got an absolute steal on Facebook Marketplace on it. So pretty nice setup I got right now.
Oh yeah, SimSeats has got some. They kind of overbuild their stuff. It's like more than durable. It ain't gonna budge, huh? No, no
Yeah,
flex.
yeah, it was actually really nice when I got it. It was laid out very perfectly, and um if I was to get another one, I would definitely go to SimSeeds. They really love their product, and obviously I've had it for a couple years now, and um anytime I'm coaching anyone or they're asking me questions, always recommend SimSeeds. Their products are just top of the line. Like I absolutely love it, and they have some cool stuff they came out with after I got the sim rig, which I was hoping they had when I wish they had when I originally bought everything, because I would have it on a um, platform where you can move it around and stuff like that. Because I like going to all them the shows, like the trade shows and stuff like that. I wanted to kind of offer have a booth at them with the premier racing setups and obviously my Drive It Academy and that sort of stuff. But the problem is they didn't have any of that stuff out when I originally bought the rig, so I'll have to make a lot of changes if I want to set this rig up to have the platform and all that.
All right, and we'll talk about your Premier Racing setups situation, but I want to get in one more question. You mentioned a big win Monday night, but we want to know what's your most memorable iRacing moment so far? Is that it or a different one?
No, actually, this was it last last year. I won a huge pro late model opening SOF. It was like a it was like a 6500 SOF. There was 13 Pro Series drivers. There was two. It was either two or three world champions, and the SOF should have been way higher than that. But we all Monday night, so on dirt, how a lot of us do it is we all run our alt accounts Monday night, just kind of get a feel for the start of the week. So the SOFs are usually kind of on the lower side than what they realistically should be. But it was Cedar Lake Pro Late model. I started like sixth, and I ended up taking the lead about five to go, and just kind of walked the field and ended up getting a huge win. That was a huge one, and one I have saved on my computer, and always will always be a good memory. Just looking at the quality of drivers I beat, and knowing that I beat 13 pro drivers, two world champions, and it was just such an amazing win.
You just said what iRacing is all about. When someone asks, what does iRacing mean? I mean, why do you do this? You just said it. I mean, to be able to stack yourself up against that group of people and actually beat them fair and square, that's saying something. I mean, that's something you can hang your hat on. It's not just a game. It's very competitive.
Yeah, so I'm on both sides of the fence. So I've done this competitively for many years, racing all the big leagues, all the big money races. So I see that standpoint, like just how competitive the sim really is. I can tell you that the average person does not realize how much time we dedicate into the sim, practicing, testing, running laps repeatedly, just trying to put ourselves in the best position to become pro world champions and all that stuff. Most people really don't realize the amount of time, but also, I've been the casual driver before I really got hard into the dirt stuff. So I used to actually do all the NASCAR stuff, and I was actually pretty good. Like, obviously, not like a pro or anything like that, but I was pretty competitive. And then once dirt fully came out, and like I actually took dirt seriously, I made the switch, and I haven't looked back to the asphalt side. So yeah, I do understand kind of both concepts and both sides.
So let's talk. I mean, what do you do for a job, real life? What do you and tell us about Premier Racing setups and what's going on there.
So, just last year, probably about 7 months ago, actually. Or no, it had been longer than that. Yeah, about a year ago, I made the switch full time iRacing. So during winter time, I do iRacing full time, and then during summertime, obviously I'm still full time, but I spent a lot of time on my real life racing. And this year was so successful. It was a very amazing season, and that's just kind of what I've been doing, and that's my plan is to during the winter focus on my companies, grow everything, get everything situated for summertime, and then once race season comes around, spend a lot of time doing real life racing. So that is what I'm doing right now, but it hasn't always been like that. I worked for my dad. He owned a scrapyard most of my life, and that's kind of what I did. So I was working at the scrapyard during the day, would come home, work on setups, work on the website, hire people, and just kind of position myself to where I could do this as a full time job.
Okay, and then real life racing. I mean, what is the car and track?
So I raced a 602 crate dirt car sportsman. So as you can see over my shoulder here, that's kind of what it looks like. So we I run two home tracks. I race in Canandaigua, New York, and then Lafargeville, New York. So um, both of them tracks are very popular tracks, and also I follow the dirt car tour. So I run all the big races, and then just kind of chase all the big money races. Vermont, just to name one place. We go up to Vermont a couple times a year, 5,000, 10,000 to win each year or each race. So we usually head out there a couple times, and we actually won the biggest race in the United States for this division. And then 6 days later, I won the biggest race in Canada in this division. So it was a very amazing season we had.
Okay, let's talk about Premier Racing setups specifically. Now, here on our show over the year, our listeners have heard us talk about, Scott and some of your other guys who do the oval sets because we're pretty much oval centric here. But what else do you guys do in setups and how is that business working? I mean, obviously you're in the top three of these setup companies out there. It's kind of cutthroat, but there's a bunch of them, but you guys are definitely hitting stride.
Yeah, so we do so much stuff. It's hard to really say just setups because we don't do just setups. We offer everything. So if you go on my website, for example, you'll see I used to offer a driving academy through the setup shop. So we offer like a coaching side. So we offer coaching with each of the builders, so you can schedule coaching through them. I want to start offering coaching for specific drivers. So obviously, we all know certain drivers are better at tracks than others, but we have like 200 something drivers, so it's kind of difficult to really manage that whole aspect. But we do setups for dirt oval and oval right now. I'm in very early talks with a road program, trying to put together a road program, but very difficult because um, they obviously the biggest thing is language barrier. A lot of people over there on the roadside don't speak English. Very difficult to kind of get our foot in the door because um, the way we do business is totally different than how the road guys do business. For example, it's like $3 a car, or no, it would be like $3 a month, and that would cover like 20 something cars at normal shops. Well, we're substantially more expensive than that on oval, but that's just every setup shop's that way. But on road, everything is very cheap, so it's very difficult to really get our foot in the door and start from the ground up when everyone's so cheap, and we would have to be so much more expensive. So that's kind of where we're at for the road program. Dirt road, we don't offer that anymore as it is kind of declined over the last couple of years. When it first came out, we used to have pro driver Garrett Maines doing all of our stuff, and then it got to the point where it was just declining every single month, so we had to stop offering that. But yeah, we have working on a paint shop right now, so we're going to start offering paints through Premiere. We're going to be offering photos through Premiere, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Obviously, we offer like merch, just kind of a little bit of everything, and just trying our hardest to kind of make Premiere the one stop shop type of deal.
And one of the things you might run into on the roadside is that in the cup car, for example, the setup works for all three makes, whereas in a GT3 field, there's a completely different garage for every car.
Yeah, we've been dealing with that. We've offered setups every once in a while, like special events we would build for. But now we're trying to really take this up a notch and actually offer weekly setups for the GT3, GT4, and a couple other cars like that. So we are working on trying to get something up and going.
I like to circle back to the oval side of it because you guys are just excelling. I don't honestly, there wasn't a week all week of the 36-week season of NASCAR that we said, "Oh, we have a problem with our setups." Not, it was never a factor in our races anyway. And look, we were performing. Even our own Justin Pearson won the Phoenix finale in Premier Racing setup just a couple weeks ago. And so you guys are really doing well on that side.
Yeah, the we got Scott and Brandon building our next gen. We have Andrew Navarro building our Xfinity and truck, and them guys on the next gen team are just phenomenal. They spend so much time. They have weekly tests. Well, not even weekly. It's every single night they offer tests along the drivers. the drivers run 50 lap stints, 100 lap stints, submit constant data using Stint Analyzer, constantly putting data in the Discord for the builders. The builders get feedback and then they make adjustments to the setups, and it's just kind of that's the way they roll. They Scott and Brandon are dedicate so much time in a Premiere and making us the number one shop. We're trying absolutely our hardest to be there and win all these big events and really dominate the sim. And obviously Brandon and Scott, they love it. Brandon would love to do this full time job, well, as a full time job, but they have some pretty nice stuff they do on their own, and they're pretty close to wanting to do this full time. And I feel like if they were ever to do this as a full time job, it would only get better. And Andrew is just he's literally a goat. There's no other way to put it. If you look at the Pro Series stuff, he is the only one that is not on a big team that is going out there winning Road to Pro races. His setups are competing against all these big teams of 50 drivers. He's a one man show usually, and he goes out there and just competes and wins races. And Andrew has been with me for countless years, where Brandon and Scott have been with me for probably about a little over a year. Andrew's been with me for a couple years, and he's just very uptight. Where Brandon and Scott are more outgoing and working with a team and drivers. Andrew likes doing everything himself and very very uptight in a sense.
So talking about the sets a little bit, just to let our listeners know, the one thing I do like about what you guys do is especially on the cup side. So the next gen, you get you buy a set for the week or whatever. You're getting sets from two different builders, and in that you're going to get three sets from both builders. Plus you're going to get qualifying. You guys also do you put up videos on YouTube every single week, for a track drive through stuff like that. The one thing that we've talked about throughout the entire year is the notes. The notes are fantastic. I think that is one of the biggest things that sets you guys apart. Is for our listeners, when you start to set up for the week and you load that setup and you look and you've got a breakdown from qualifying to race changes to what you need to do. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic the amount of detail that you guys give, and that's what I think has helped us a lot because we end up we're always to have to talk while we're on Discord. It's like, hey, don't forget to do your mid race changes and don't forget to do this and don't forget to do that. So I think that's a huge plus for you guys.
Yeah,
Additionally, each set has a tight, neutral, and loose version.
mhm. Yeah, that was actually a idea that partially I was telling the guys how I wanted to include more in the notes. As I was saying that, I was talking about like weather conditions, what they tested in, and that sort of stuff. And then I actually found out like a month later that Brandon and Scott started using the notes to put in a bunch of information and stuff in there. So that originally was never supposed to happen. That was an idea that they came up with based off of what I wanted, and they kind of expanded on that. And that's what makes them so good is they see every opportunity and they make the most out of it. Like the YouTube videos, I can name one shop that does YouTube videos that goes into detail, but every single thing no other shop offers what we offer. Like the videos, the detailed notes, the lap files, the replay files, the constant Discord support, the wanting to work with drivers, wanting to work with customers. Like these guys just over here are so serious and they love it. Like Brandon every day jumps on and absolutely loves iRacing, loves competing, loves just everything about it. And that's pretty much what makes us so successful is we got people that love what they do. And most don't think it's a job. Most just think it's fun and they love helping other people out. And that's kind of how I started this whole deal was I wanted to help people out. And then I got to the point where I won the Pro Series qualifiers in 2018 for the sprint cars, and people contacted me left and right to buy setups, and I started offering them setups. And then it got to the point where I was getting so many messages. I was very young, made a website, started offering setups, and immediately started selling sets left and right, and things took off, and it was just kind of kept elevating every single week. More customers, more people jumping on board, wanting to drive for me, and that's kind of what started everything. Was I love doing this, and that's kind of where we started and how things are right now. Like I like having builders that enjoy themselves and enjoy the sim. I don't like bringing people on just to make money. Like that's not how I like to run a business.
I was thinking if I had a newbie that was new to iRacing listening to the show right now, they're probably wondering what the heck are we talking about? And I want to just mention, look, in iRacing you have open and fixed racing. And if you want to participate in the open side is really where the cream of the crop is, and that's where they're going to run. Like you were talking SOF race, those kind of things. Those are open races. And so if you're not a set builder yourself, you pretty much have to buy a set to at least be competitive. And that's really what has driven this whole business, right?
Yeah, so um it this kind of sucks, but also kind of works out in a setup shop's favor. So on dirt, I don't know about asphalt because I don't run asphalt much, but on dirt, the fixed setups are absolutely horrendous. Unfortunately, they're killing the fixed series. They're a lot of people are stopping participating just because how bad the setups are. They have very talented builders. I know the people who are building them, but for some reason they're not making them very competitive. The handling is very bad, so a lot of people switch immediately over to the open because of just how bad they are, and it's like a totally different driving style. You go from open to fixed, and it's like totally different driving styles in each division, even though they technically should be the same driving style. Just the open and the fixed setups are just totally different driving styles, and it totally sets everything apart and works out for us because we sell setups from people making the switch from fixed to open, but also fixed is where I like to find talent, people that are good and that don't have setups. I like going and running those races and seeing who can keep up with me, and that's how I like to find talent. That's where I got a lot of my pro quality drivers from when I was actually doing all the pro series stuff, was running fixed stuff, finding out who consistently would run with me, and that's how I picked up my team.
All right, Richard Murtaugh, we sure appreciate you coming on the show tonight, talking about your history and your preparing racing setups. Like I said, we've been real happy with you guys throughout the year, and we're going to keep on talking about it. So, hey, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on board, and looking forward to seeing all the wins you guys pick up. Obviously, we're gonna keep working on getting our program much better, and um, we're always open for feedback. Obviously, Chris has been pretty good of giving me feedback, and obviously, we're open for anything you guys ever want us to try or have any suggestions. We're all ears, and that's what really separates us. We're always listening to our customers, trying to figure out what all we need to improve on.
Look, I'm all pumped up for the Daytona 500, and I know I'm going to be loading up a Scott Luce or Brandon Luce, and I'm gonna be happy. Absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some big races coming up and special events on the dirt side. The Chili Bowl's coming up too, and that's a big one. So if you guys ever want to come run some dirt stuff, I suggest you check out the Chili Bowl. That it's a dirt midget around a track that is, I don't even know how small it is. It's a very tiny bowl ring, and you guys should definitely check it out and try it sometime because that's a lot of fun.
Yep. So listeners, premiersetups.com. That's where you need to go.
All right, the first topic we have has presents the question, why so bad? And this is an enlightening little topic that was interesting to find. The question is posted by Chris Yanchar, and he asks if the steering ratio in the Audi R8 is different It was no, it wasn't the Ari. It was the Huracan. I was already ahead and looking at the um the Audi because it has the same steering ratio. So he says that he feels like the steering ratio is too sluggish and he has to turn the wheel a lot more and it's harder to catch spins and such. And he was wondering if there's a wheel calibration issue or something. And there's a response from Chris Yanchar. So the post was actually from Ben McKenna. The response was that the Hurricane and the I believe also the Audi have the slowest steering ratios, and they're 17 to 1. And that's the old ratio system. If you remember running the Gen 4 car or the Gen 6 even, that means every 17 degrees you turn the wheel, the steering wheel or the actual wheel turns 1 degree. That's how it works. And that's really slow. I run like 12 to 1 in a cup car. So that's really slow. Um, the fastest one in the class is the Acura, which is at 12 to 1. So think of it as a feature, not a bug, is what he says. So the steering ratios in GT3 classes are set by the make you pick.
which is what we want, right? We want them to mimic the physics of the car completely.
I just find it fascinating with all the things that you can change on a sports car. You can't change this, but you can change it on a stock car.
It
And
makes you
that's a
wonder.
real life thing. That's not an iRacing thing.
It makes me wonder what kind of mechanicals are needed to change a steering ratio. Like, is it a whole nother system that has to be bolted in, or
So when I read this article, what amazed me was again it's the level of detail. Um, you jump between cars and you just think, okay, it's a GT3 car. Well, it is, but again, there's different steering boxes for every car, so it's a different steering ratio. I've noted numerous times that to go jump in the Porsche, I don't drive the Lamborghini or the Audi, but to jump in the Porsche, and I feel like the steering is so slow. Well, it's same scenario. I think it's that same type of steering box, and it's just amazing to me the difference that you get between the cars, and that's to me again what makes iRacing unique. It's not like a NASCAR car where they're all the same. I mean, each car is unique, and there's a different driving style and a different way you have to drive.
Well, I think tuning the steering ratio. I guess I'm just so accustomed to being able to tune the steering ratio in a cup car as well because at ovals, when I usually run 14 to 1, except for road courses and plate tracks where I need quicker response, so I go down to 12 to 1. So I'm supposed, especially for guys at our skill level, that might affect what car we should drive more than just the quote unquote BOP, what we think is the overpowered car. There may be cars that are just more suitable for the steering ratio that we're comfortable with.
I was this many days old when I realized they have different steering ratios. I didn't even realize that until I read this.
Definitely explains what's going on there, though. That's pretty cool. All right. Next, we've all been sharing the post in the thread that there's possible changes coming to NASCAR, and they took a single car, I believe, and tested it at Bristol without any spoiler or without any diffuser, right?
Rear diffuser was modified. I don't think it was completely removed, and 750 horsepower. So that's encouraging. We haven't heard anything good or bad though out of the, as far as the outcome of that. Um, there's also going to be a test next month at North Wilkesboro um, with Christopher Bell and Joey Logano doing counsel. So why are we talking about this? Because last night in the league race, I started thinking out loud, hey, I wonder when we're going to get these changes in iRacing. And I hope we get them in time for season, which for me is the Daytona 500. Christian Challenger from staff was on the race with us, and I kind of poked him a little bit and asked, well, how hard are these changes? And he said, well, the horsepower is actually real easy to change. It's very simple adjustment in iRacing for them to increase the horsepower. Now the aero is different, obviously, and so that and the tires he said are also a complex changes as well. But if it's just horsepower, it's pretty easy to change.
There's a little bit more detail to that too, in that he said if it's just a small horsepower change, because the way NASCAR is changing the horsepower is changing the size of the spacer. And he said if that changes the torque curve too much, then they have to make more adjustments than just plugging in one number. But if it's a small change, then they should be able to just kind of plug in one number.
Yeah. The other thing obviously iRacing has to manage is, oh, well, we got car, B with a lower horsepower on the big tracks, and we got cars, this car A on the with the 750 on the smaller tracks, and so depending on which track it is, I got to make a different car's configuration, I guess.
Well, they do that with we have a different body style with the Gen 4. Also, um, the Gen 6 had a year where there was a different package at the different size tracks, didn't it?
Yeah. So they've done it
So,
before. You're right.
I'm curious to see what they're aiming for with these changes they're going for right now. They're just kind of telling us or some leaks about what's going on, but I'm besides the horsepower, which we kind of can see what it does and what people have been talking about. I wonder what their other changes are they're hoping for other than just a more competitive, better, easier to pass, or maybe encourage passing without having to jack with the tires so much.
well, the more you have to be off the throttle, the better, right? In any case, and so if you have less
Yeah.
downforce, you also have to be off the throttle. And what's happened with this car is why it's so good at the mile and a halfs is because those mile and a halfs, well, it's the mile and a halfs that are multi groove, because it can stick in just about any line. A lot of the mile and a halfs end up being multi lane tracks, and they can run side by side a lot better. Whereas when you get to a Bristol or a Martinsville where there's only one line, they're so aero dependent even at those slower speeds because of all that rare diffuser, and because the air is it's so dependent on the air that's right in front of it instead of the air that's all around. It's like a narrower shot of where you get the air from.
You remember previous years, previous cars where restarts, especially on old tires, somebody is going to spin their tires and wipe out the field. I wonder if that's coming back in 2026 with the higher horsepower.
Not with that small of a change. Not like the spinning tires we had at Rockingham last night.
Wow.
All right, Mike, you were posting just a little bit earlier one of your older rigs from like 2 years ago, but we've got a rig from a long time ago.
Yeah, found on Reddit by the Sim Shop. He posted up a video that he came up from March 10th, 2000, showing this guy in a mustache, basically back in the day playing iRacing. Back, he says iRacing 25 years ago. I don't know if it's actually iRacing. It's probably some other PC sim title. But yeah, it looks like fun. How did those graphics look on that 19-inch monitor?
Well, this
They
one
got a lot.
brought
I
back
don't
a
know
lot
about
of
that
memories for
FOV on
me.
there.
You had
I
something
mean,
like
this
that,
is
John?
yeah. I mean, this looks like the old Papyrus NASCAR racing sim that we all got our start on years and years ago.
Oh, the one I use the arrow keys to drive with, and maybe the A and the Z for the throttle and the brake.
No, that's
Yeah.
iRacing Arcade.
Well, this was 25 years ago, so this probably would have been 2000 or 99. Um, so yeah, CRT monitor, wheel clamp to the desk, and that's what we did.
Boy, times changed, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're still almost running some of the similar code now. Unfortunately, it's what it is.
All right, so I haven't had a look at this particular video, but I'm going to take a guess based on the header. Um, we were talking also last night. We're having a lot of great conversation in these league races because we're running them so clean that there's a little bit of time to get a little bit of chatter in. Um, but we one of the things we talked about is wife aggro when on getting on the sim with a certain driver that we invited, um, and he gets told he can't. But what is that? What this one's about, Brad? Is it something similar?
Uh, well, so I'd sent this to my wife. So this is just a kind of a short here from Grace Dynamics, and says told yeah, if you watch this, told my wife I'm taking her to spa. So and then as the video starts to play, he's so he j- jumps to the car and he's now driving at spa. So just a little tongue in cheek fun there.
Aha. Joke's on her.
Then she hands him a receipt from the actual spa. All right, what we got next, John?
All right, we got Brexton Bush. I guess this is Kyle's son. Um, he put a little video up on Instagram that he got him a brand new Apex 4 CT full motion sim. It's what every kid ought to get, right? But it just shows video of him trying out his racing sim, his new racing sim that I sure didn't get when I was his age.
Why, this kid's going to be a superstar. I guarantee it. He's going to be a NASCAR superstar one day. Look at him. He's already got a full sponsorship from one of the big motion rig companies. This is the one that was camped out right next to us at the Sim Gaming Expo that we got to try out, a few of us. Boy, this is a high-end system.
Wonder where he got the money for that.
His dad's probably got $1 or two, but no, nice setup. SemiCube Pro. Um, looks like we got GSI wheel. It's got some Sparko shoes. So nice precision engineering DDU. So a lot of high end equipment on this, but yeah, I know he spends quite a bit of time in the sim. So pretty cool. Last week we had the video of him and Kyle going head to head at one of the auto shows. But yeah, it's a very nice setup.
I'd almost guess that SimCraft has some kind of sponsorship deal with him. That I wonder if he probably maybe didn't even have to pay for it.
Who wouldn't want to have their name associated with a bush? I mean, it's just what it is. So the
Right.
kid's,
I mean,
like
people
I said, he's
paid for that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, he's going to be a star. I mean, between him and Keel and Harvick, those two guys are probably going to be racing each other for quite a while.
All right, Chris, the next question is, can he really help me?
Hey, can
Daytona
you guys hear
winner.
me a little better?
And every Monday we've been doing something
Or
called
is it
Master.
still low? Okay, good. Okay, sorry, I was trying to resolve that. We're on the what is this? The Daniel Morad. So
Yep.
yeah, I watched this video earlier this week, and it was pretty interesting because I always like Daniel Morad's stuff. He's usually generally tells it like it is. He's got a good or at least I respect his opinion in general. He seems to lay out exactly what he's doing, tends to explain things pretty well. But in this one, he pretty much went through a few coaching sessions. Um, I think he just straight up showed the video of them. And a lot of what he was showing on there, I think, was pretty interesting, especially from the roadside. Now, on road, I'm an awful driver, but I could see how something like this would be so much more uh, uh, just helpful from a coaching perspective. I know there's some AIs out there that tend to try to do the same sort of thing, but this was so much more a real person going, no, no, no. When I do this in the real car, I'm braking at X mark or whatever. So it was just a really good insight to the way he shows people how to get faster. And I think hearing it from somebody that drives one of these cars in real life, he's able to really pinpoint what's making you slow on the track.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's basically taking videos. He's going back and breaking them down. But I mean, I could see, one of the first ones he had on here was the guy, turns lap at Sebring, and then as he's going through and critiquing what the guy's doing is the exact same thing I do, and I'm like, yep, I do that. I do that. I drive into way too deep. He talks about just coming up the main stretch on Sebring, where the right as you come by pit, you come by the pit wall. The pit wall actually juts to the right, and I catch myself running right up along the pit wall, and then I'll move to the right to try to open up my corner. He's like, "Why do that? Just drive in a straight line and work your way towards there, as opposed to do different stuff." So yeah, it's pretty neat. He's gotten super active here in the last few weeks, so obviously doesn't have any real racing right now.
Yeah, and he's got the cred, right? That's why I like his videos. He's got that cred. He's a 24 Daytona winner.
2 time.
In the rain.
Come on, William. You want to say something? I can see it.
I was laughing at David's dad joke or dad transition.
Actually, that was an accidental transition. Literally, I was getting ready to make a transition, but yeah, now that you mentioned rain, William, has iRacing ruined its best feature?
Well, I think this guy it's a YouTube video from MF Henry. I've not watched any of his stuff before. We put this video on the script, and I think he's awful assuming that this is iRacing's best feature, but he laments the lack of rain. And no, I'm sorry. He calls it his best feature. He says more people want to drive it, and then he goes, you know, he starts off the video by asking where'd everybody go, because when rain is forecast, the splits are normally less populated, and that's just, in my opinion, because it's just not as fun to drive in as your regular dry race. And again, just my opinion, but I think it's a great feature. I just am very happy with where they've got it at the moment. And he goes
I don't
through
agree
and
that it's less fun to drive in, but I agree that it's got the right amount of frequency. In fact,
yeah,
a lot of people complained that it was too much in a lot of the recent special events, and I wish it wouldn't get so heavy that it's gets to unrealistic red flag conditions.
I
yeah.
could
We've talked about the rain for a while, or we hadn't talked about it recently, but we were on it for a minute just because of the frequency in the special events, like you talked about. In the video, a suggestion he gives to increase participation in the rain races is to redo the forecast either every day or even for every session. And I don't think that's going to help. I mean, I just don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, we discussed this almost ad nauseum. I mean, look, when the schedule gets released and you go through and you look at the weather that's forecasted out for the 12 weeks, and there's rain in 3 weeks, at three events over the course of the 12 weeks, you already automatically know, one, participation is going to be low because people aren't going to want to run it. I don't mind rain so much. Again, it's like David said, it's just when it's just undrivable at times. I love it in the special events if it's used properly, but it doesn't have to rain every special event. It doesn't have to do that. And I do like the idea that he talks about where you could mix it up throughout the week. If there's a 30% chance of rain, it doesn't mean that it's going to rain all the time. It's not speaking to the volume of the rain, but it would be nice to have something that's a little bit different. I agree with him. There's times where literally every split, every time it's the same way. If it starts dry, the rain's coming at X amount of minutes into the race, or it's going to stop raining at X amount of minutes, and you just get used to doing that. So I still think they have some work to do on it. Hands down, I think they do it better than anybody else does it. I mean, it is probably the most realistic thing, from a sim side, for modeling rain, and I think they've done a fantastic job with it. I still think it just needs to get a little bit of tweak, and people don't need to be so scared of it. There's opportunities to win races. I've won races in the rain because, again, there's a lot of people that just don't want to run in it. So if you learn to be pretty good, it can be enjoyable.
I've been practicing for Suzuka this weekend in the major series, and it has rain, and the track wetness got up to 67%, but never really went any higher than that. So I don't know if that's that Mike and them have a good enough experience level now that they can keep it from monsooning. But it got nice and wet, and also the track changes really quick at Suzuka because I was speeding up 10 seconds based on how dry or wet it was. Um, but it in the Formula car, it was a lot more manageable. But also, I think because they were keeping it under that monsoon level.
So is it more of a forecasting problem than it is? It's not really the physics of the rain. It's more of how much and how often, or not at all, basically. Because I don't,
Oh,
I run maybe a handful in the rain. Very
We're kind of
little.
talking two problems there
Yeah.
because
so, but the video, what he's saying is when they say they take a snapshot for the forecast, it's for the week. Okay, so all he is saying is let's switch that to be by the day or by the session. And I think it's a good idea. Look, if I'm going to run the IMSA race all week long, once each night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so on, wouldn't it be nice if it was actually different weather or it could be different weather as I go from Monday to Tuesday? Unlike what Brad said, oh, it's always starting wet and we know it's going to go to a dry track because that's what it did last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
However, don't forget we had the 24 hours where one split start time had, or one start time, not split, had dry, and the other split had all wet.
So they're doing that by session then, right?
that was by split. So no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Well,
that's by
It was by
session. That's
start time, but it was by separate session time. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, and it could make it interesting. I just not for me because I get what 4 races a week. If it's gonna rain, I want to know so I can be prepared because I don't want to go into a session not prepared and then just throw away 45 minutes. It's just not my thing.
But think back to when they said this was coming. Everybody for years, all they did is we want it, we want it, we want it, we want it, and then we get it again. The participation sucks.
Yeah.
But were the people who are not showing up the people who are saying they want it? Don't forget, we're not a one person. There's a whole lot of people that I race with different opinions. So, um, this is interesting, John. Since you're a lawyer, you get the one that has to do with scams.
Yeah. So in the forum, there was a forum post by Felipe Murad, and he says, "Good morning, everyone. I was recently in a custom league where the top three were promised cash prizes. However, the moment the league ended, the organizers vanished and isn't responding to anyone in the league. Is there anything that iRacing does against people like this, or are we just SOL?" Um, got a lot of responses in here, but I think the first thing that came to mind is wouldn't something like that be protestable? That's what my thought is.
I don't know. Is it in the sporting code?
So 8.1.1.1, any fraudulent conduct or act prejudicial to the interests of any competition or to the interests of internet racing in general. Guess you probably could.
So that was one of the ideas in the responses. All right. Well, look, there's a reason I don't do money races, and this is one of them. I've seen this in the past. I don't think I've seen it recently, but I have seen it happen where people were promised prizes, they win the race, whatever, and then they don't actually get it.
Now there are some established leagues. The majors is awesome, the major series, and I pay to be in that. Uh, they I've already shown before the medals that I've gotten from them, but they've been around for years. They're established and trustworthy. They're not just going to up and disappear.
Well, I think so the answer to the poster really should be when you get involved in these things, you need to be it needs to be a word of mouth. You need to go by somebody you know or a reputation of somebody you know or like for example, our league, which does do payouts, $5 this to win or whatever. Everybody in there knows everybody, and it's all word of mouth. And so, like, if David Hall starts reneging on the payments, I mean, yeah, I mean, everyone knows who he is, right? They know where he lives.
All right, Mike, this one's right up your alley.
this discussion again. Yeah, we have a post at the forums. Gen 4 races should be every 2 hours instead of every one. Man, I can't agree with this more. I mean, looking at every time I sit down after work this week to race, the first thing I look for, Gen 4, is it populated? Is it populated? Is there more than 10? Is there more than 10? No, no, no. And so I don't want to run it if there's not like at least 15 people or something. So, um, yeah, they need to do something. And so is it move it from where it is now hourly to every 2 hours to drive participation? I like the idea. I think it could help.
Yeah,
I know
we've
you guys
talked a
kind of
lot.
predicted. Oh, go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
You were going to say the same thing I was going to say. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody predicted it would be low participation. I mean, after driving it a couple weeks, I could kind of see, but I don't think that's the reason. I was excited to get these two cars when they came out. I thought it would be more than than you guys said at the time. So I'm disappointed to see it, and I don't think I saw they had Rockingham this week as the official. I don't think I saw it go official. Maybe a few times the other day. I was going to run it just to get a practice in, but
Well, unfortunately, that's just the way that iRacing is. I mean, I think I called this right off the bat that we knew
yep.
what would happen. I mean, it's just again, look, I didn't buy the car until the Winter League got ready to start. I love that era of racing, but I think it still comes down to that people want to drive what they see on TV, and you don't see Gen 4 cars on TV anymore. You see the next gen, you see Xfinity. It's no different than the vintage cars that are on the roadside. Um, I just think that's just a human condition. That's the nature of how we are. We want to drive, what our heroes drive, or what the cars we like to watch on TV. That's what we want to race.
Is there an official series for any of the old Formula cars, like the Lotus cars?
There's
Yeah,
leagues.
Yeah,
there's
they have a
leagues.
79
Not
and a
leagues,
49. Yeah.
official, like an official
They have
series.
Yeah, the
yeah, they
Lotus.
both have one.
I believe the Lotus has a SOF race that they line up and then broadcast, don't they?
They
Yeah,
do.
which is
So,
basically using an official as a league almost. I mean, you've had that through the years. You have them schedule SOFs in the officials just because otherwise you can't get participation.
so Gen 4 is going to have to kind of do the same thing. It's going to have to form a community and plan a time.
Yep, exactly.
There is no community. Okay.
Well, so for like Dave, to your question, I think the Lotus 79, they've got a Grand Prix series that they run official.
Hmm.
So some of them do have those.
But I'm curious if they're missing going official as often.
They do. I've looked at them because the 79 is pretty fun to drive, and it doesn't go official very often.
Yeah,
Or
so
if it
there's
does,
just
I just haven't been looking lately. But
it's
Well, they've been.
exciting. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it in the league, but yeah, there's just not going to be as much interest in the older cars.
Yeah, I think the Lotus goes every 2 hours.
That's what we need to do with Gen 4 every 2 hours because of participation. Look, iRacing was like me. They had high hope, and it's not working out.
Well, there are a lot of series that we've talked about where they did a lot of damage going from 2 hours to 1 hour, and it really hurt the quality of the racing, especially in the size of the splits.
79 has gone official once today, and it looked like they probably planned it because there's like 30 people in there.
All right, we've got Chris some real world feedback.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I looked at this one that closely.
I'll pass it over to Will.
Yeah, maybe past this one. I didn't get to look at this one.
Yeah. So a real life Super Formula driver, I'm gonna butcher this name, Suyun Kuide, I think. Posted in the forums. He just said he's gonna give you some differences between the real Super Formula and the iRacing version, and then he talks about aero drag, the wing angles they use, the ride height in the real cars, how the tire degradation compares, and some of it was really interesting, like the tire degradation and the wing. Some of it was just a lot of technical stuff that I'm not sure most people are going to understand. But it's always really interesting when we get this real world POVs, just like we just talked about Morad driving the Mercedes, and he's done videos in the past, that comparing it very closely, telling you how well iRacing transfers the real life feel of the car to the sim. So anytime we get a professional driver to come in and tell us these things is really really interesting.
This is also good to see. If you scroll down a little, Christian has responded because somebody tagged him, and he appreciated him tagging him, and he said he's already passed all of the feedback on to the people responsible for that car.
What makes me think is with a laundry list like this of, and there's a lot of pretty plain stuff like, oh, we can adjust this in the real car, but obviously can't in iRacing. Those kind of things makes you wonder: did they involve a real racer when they initially built the Super Formula car, or is this really the first time they had proper feedback? But anyway, it's good to, like you said, to get real feedback from real drivers, and then of course I think iRacing will make adjustments accordingly. And hey, that's what makes iRacing great, is they're always improving.
All right, Mike, can assist driving lane make you faster?
Well, this guy, we found his video on YouTube, and his called Break Trace is his channel, and it's fairly new. He's only got 178 subscribers, but he goes into a nice video about trying the driving aids in iRacing, and do they actually give an advantage? And he tries to do like a scientific type study where he does laps with and without the aid, and then compares the lap times accordingly. Uh, Basically, when he had the throttle and brake assist on, it was within nothing. Basically, there was really no difference. The driving line, he said, was harmful in some situations, but everything else was nominal, I would say.
I would agree that the driving line is harmful.
Brad, are you saying that the driving lane is wrong essentially?
Um, you get focused on the driving line. You need to pick up reference points on the track that don't ever change. And you can't see the driving line when the car in front of you is driving over top of the red spot where it tells you to start hitting the brakes.
He also mentioned that it wasn't even just following it; it was just the way that they had the braking and the throttle that it was just so far off. It had you doing things you shouldn't be doing. But I thought it was I'd never seen his channel before either, but I thought it was a pretty good video for such a new channel. And he did admit, he started putting a faster time up with the assist, but then he went back without the assist and beat that time. So he said, "Man, I might have just been getting more used to the track car combination." So
Look,
Yeah, I go ahead, Mike.
well, I was just going to say, for me, at my skill level in road racing, and I've done my own tests, scientific tests, with and without the driving line on at the ring, and I'm a good 2, 3 seconds slower without it. There's no question. And so I've done it both ways, and I feel like I've even lost a race when I turned it off because I had it off. And so is that just me not knowing how to drive? Is that me needing coaching? Probably, but uh,
I think it's memory on that track. I mean, because I can't remember that track.
it's so long. It's 14 miles, right?
mhm.
Yeah, but Mike, you run it every single week. I
Every
would
night,
anticipate. I would
sometimes
anticipate.
3 times.
I would anticipate by now you should have the track down.
You would think so, but then when I turn the driving line off, I'm sure enough slower.
What were you going to say, William?
I mean, a little bit on Mike's point. This is going to be highly driver specific. Obviously, the assists are going to hinder someone who's 5 6K pro level, but somebody that's 1K, it might help. My personal opinion is just don't start with them because it's going to help you in the long run. But I mean, it certainly could help. The brake assist could certainly help somebody that's in the low 1000s. I've said this on the podcast before. I started after rookies with the pickup car because it teaches you how to drive. So again, in the long run, I think it's more beneficial to just not even bother with it. But again, it's going to be highly driver specific.
I remember specifically getting told back when we didn't have fast track and you had to spend a whole season running the MX5. I wonder if we're going to talk about something like that a little bit later because I saw you post it, Brad. Um, Back then, they said turn off auto blip with your H pattern because it actually costs time.
Yeah, they should. The assist should put you at a disadvantage. That's it's an assist. It's to assist you. It should not make you quicker.
So
And even the pit limiter on every car is actually 1 mile per hour slower.
last week we drove the older vintage Audi Quattro 90 GTO car, and with the blip off, I could not shift this thing. Like you got to figure out how to shift it. Like you have to old school style, like it has a what do you call lockout or whatever, and you have to be at a certain res, and you got to have your clutch just right. I couldn't even get it to shift hardly at all, or at least when I wanted it to, and so I turned the blip on, and it totally saved my week.
Well, I mean, again, it's all what do you want immersion wise? That's what it comes down to. Do you want to learn how to drive it the way you should learn how to drive it, or do you want to use the aids? Different strokes for different folks.
But
I
he's
want
got
to
he's
get
getting that
there.
he's getting that
Yeah,
active throttle though.
that's right. I want to get there though, and get rid of some of those things. And, like I'd love to learn how to drive that car without the blip, but I anybody who owns the car knows what I'm talking about. It's hard to shift.
That car's a blast. You were gnawing last week. That was a good one. So appreciate that suggestion.
All right, couple of reminders. Black Friday is already going. 50% on new memberships, 25% on renewals. Go to iRacing.com Black Friday to get your specific codes.
Get that alt account, maybe.
All right, we have a gripe about the Gen 4, Brad.
Yeah, I've got a forum post here from Randy Galbraith. Says this vehicle used to be fun to drive. Now it's honestly such a boring, slow, undraftable, unpassable, and all out terrible car. So I get into a long forum list here. In regards to the Gen 4, primarily it starts out discussing super speedway. The old age old question. Well, we don't go as fast in the sim as they did in real life and whatnot. Quite a bit of stuff here. Like I said, I don't drive this car. I've only just started driving it during the winter league. But I don't know. I mean, is the way the car drives hurting participation? Has the newness worn off, or is there some? I mean, is it the every hour something's wrong either with the car or with the series that's causing participation to be horrible?
But when you look at this line graph of where people started and finished, there's no passing going on, and so is that the concern? I mean,
There was look in the winter series race last week. There was no passing. There was no passing. I mean, any passing happened when we had pit stops. Am I right, David? Chris, you
Yeah, but
guys
we
were
were
there
we were racing pretty tame too. We weren't doing a whole lot of side by side. Everybody just got in the line and drove.
because you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't. You get up to the back of somebody, and they're just again. We said it. It was. I mean, the only thing that was enjoyable about that was the conversation. It was probably the most boring race I've ever done, and that's the god honest truth.
Now
yes,
Rockingham was a little bit better, a lot more challenging. So,
Yeah.
but this guy's more specifically, I guess, talking about the draft package.
I mean, he's showing. I guess they later on in the thread they showed some historical qualifying times from. I think it was Daytona 500. Let me see here. Yeah, and I think what they're saying is you could run, 174 a little bit more by yourself, and the qualifying time on that Daytona 500 was 186. So uh, it seems like it's tamed down. I don't remember how I drove in the beginning, so I don't know if something happened when it first released or if they've changed something. I thought they changed something with the draft, but
it's hard for me to judge what's right, what's not. I just so I'm kind of glad to see people putting out data like this and making iRacing think twice about do they got this right or not. So hopefully they're looking at it.
Well, one of the things that gets brought up in this too is the official races are all fixed, and we all know how the fixed setups are. So you cannot compare qualifying with a fixed setup versus if you were to tape the car up and actually put a qualifying setup in it. So back at this time, there was different qualifying motors. I mean, there were so many changes made to those cars for qualifying. It wasn't just tape, So that's like comparing apples and oranges. That doesn't work.
Mm.
They didn't do the one engine rule in 2003.
I don't think so. They were still running. I think they were still running qualified engines.
While I research that, tell us about the wheel pedal calibration video, Brad.
Yeah, just like we had last week. This was just kind of a quick hit from iRacing, one of their how-tos. So this will walk you through how to calibrate your wheel and your pedals. When you jump into the sim for the very first time, you got to go through and do your wheels, do your pedals, do your shifters, and all that stuff. So just a quick hit, simple thing to walk new people through. So I'm glad to see him putting stuff out like this because it is a little bit odd when you get in there the first time. If you've never been and got into a sim and you got to calibrate a steering wheel, stuff like that. Just follow the directions. It's pretty clear. But I think I saw a forum post somewhere, or I don't know what it was. Somebody's like, my steering wheel is backwards when I turn it, and somebody chimed in. It's like, well, did you turn it to the left when you set it to 90 degrees? Because if you turn it to the right, it's going to be backwards.
Bingo.
All right, a follow up. It was 2002 season when they started requiring the quali engine to be the race engine.
Okay. So still same car, basically.
So during the Gen 4 era is when the switch happened. All right, next question, William. Is it needed or unnecessary?
Yeah, a forum post from Giuseppe Caldato asking, he watched the Euro NASCAR race over, I guess, the weekend, and he said he was thrilled when they announced it in June, but we haven't heard anything since. So he put it on the forums and asked if there was any idea when it could be released. Did we get No, we did not ever get a staff response to it. But the question is it needed or unnecessary? I mean, it's probably going to be run for a week and then forgotten again, kind of like the other cars we've been talking about.
Yeah, that's why I put that up there. I mean, it just to me it'd be another dilution of whatever oval drivers you've got.
Wait, what about for the Brazilian NASCAR cars that they brought in? Are
Are
those
they
popular?
are they legacy cars now? Or are they just what are they?
Oh, the Brazilian stock car. I think they still run a series. I
Ghost
think
Town.
you could buy them.
So that's our title idea. Hashtag Ghost Town.
All right, this one's got to be yours, Mike. It's talking about Nords.
Yeah, Max was on a podcast recently, Max Verstappen, and he talks about the Nordschleife and his love for it, and how how he was able to get up to speed so quick when he raced there. And it's all about the sim. I mean, he said, I've memorized this track in sim, and it's very close, and et cetera, et cetera. But when you think about, what he's accomplished here, where, he's walked into the Nordschleife, which is probably the biggest, hardest track in the world, longest. I mean, it's crazy, and to perform like he did and win the race, when as a one-off, when he doesn't even drive that car, and he's never actually raced professionally at the track before. I mean, without iRacing, I don't know if he could have done it. And I think that's what he was really talking about, how the sim really put him in a position to do it.
Yeah, I saw an interview from him, so maybe somewhere else. But I mean, he discussed that he's turned so many laps there. He knows every corner. He understands the line and all that. And he said when he got there, he did the race there in the GT3. He basically just needed to get out, feel the car, understand the compression in the corners, and how hard he could push it But other than the track, he knew the track inside and out. I mean, so again, it's a tool. It's absolutely a tool.
Do you think he used the driving line on there to learn?
They
Touche.
went out and they painted the entire track for him.
Hey,
All right.
whatever works.
And I'm going to jump right into the next one with this guy didn't use the driving line at the Nord. It is Dave Cam, one of my favorite streamers. He put up his video of this week at the F3 car at the Nord. Guess what, guys? After seeing, I decided to bow out this week because I don't own this car. If I did buy it, I'm never going to race it. So I didn't buy it. And so after watching Dave Cam's video of how he handled the F3 around the Nordschleife, I'm actually relieved I didn't buy it. There's no way I can handle this car. It's over my head.
It's a fun car to drive. I've got it, and I think the only reason I bought it ages ago is because I loved it in R Factor. Um, but it's a fun car to drive. Now I've never done it official. It's one of those things I just like to get out and hot lap in every now and then.
Yeah. So anyway, kudos to Dave Cam for representing and running well in that car.
All right, we have a report from iRacing Support about some more possible UI issues. This one's affecting the following Week 9 series, specifically the BMW M2 Cup, the Global Mazda MX-5, and the VW Lite. And essentially, what's happening is it's the server's failing to load after going directly from practice to race. It's getting stuck at 98%. So the current fix is to exit the practice server when the race server is close to launching. So basically, don't let it automatically load the race server. Wait for the server to launch and then join the race from the UI after it launches.
Huh? Yeah. Okay. Wait. So
Okay.
So you're in practice.
I got you. I got you. So I don't know if this is a UI issue or not. I responded back on their tweet that this must be another UI issue. But so I'm in my practice session. I exit the practice session, go all the way back to the UI, and then wait for the server to roll over and then go into it from there.
Correct.
Oh, that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. That's not a fix.
It's a workaround.
It's a workaround.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because what you're running into the issue if you click the race button from within the practice session, or if it automatically clicks if you're AFK for some reason.
I wonder why it's only affecting these specific series. That's
I'm
kind of strange.
I'm
It
sure they
is.
do too. All right. What is this, William, about a Cadillac Formula One team simulator driver?
Yeah, so Alec Udell has been announced, or I guess they're announcing him as a simulator driver for the Cadillac F1 team. I don't know much about him, to be honest. But one thing in their Instagram post that I found interesting was that they were doing a dress rehearsal for Brazil, even though they're not even in the series yet. So they did all the simulator racing, and I'm assuming he talks about the team in Charlotte and Silverstone. So I'm assuming the team is doing some dress rehearsal things to get ready for entering the series next year. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, so Alec they spent this last year driving for Corvette for DXTT and IMSA GTD class. So he's a
Okay.
Corvette driver. But yeah, pretty neat. I mean, we know again all the F1 teams have got sims, so of course Cadillac's got to have one. I mean, it's the yes Team Cadillac. It's I saw a video today where they were testing the shaking down the first car, which is a Ferrari. Yeah, that's what they're using, and I guess
I
until
think
they
that was Perez, right?
yeah before they actually built the car. But yeah, so but no, like you said, that's pretty neat, William. That they're I mean, again, you have to start getting into a rhythm and getting understanding what you have to do for every race. You got to spend time in the sim and whatever like that. So the more you do that, the better off you're going to be in what next year or a year after that when they actually have their own car.
You're 26.
So what I find interesting is this guy's a full-fledged real race car driver in GTT IMSA, and his career progression takes him into sim racing. I love it. I mean, it's a step up, right? Is it really a step up to go from IMSA driver to a sim driver of a Formula One team?
I mean, I'll
Depends on the
take
money,
either.
I guess.
Well, I mean, it's no different than Raja Carruth spends all week in the Chevy Sim. Um, Anthony Alfredo does the same thing. They're these guys that's what they do. They're the ones that that are spending all the time working, trying to help Chevrolet, whether it's Chevrolet, Ford, whoever, get the tire model right, and all this stuff. So you've got real racers that spend tremendous amounts of time in the sim. I wouldn't say I wouldn't call Alec a sim racer. He's in the sim. I would differentiate that a little bit, I think.
No travel, gets to stay home and just run the sim. I like it.
All right, we got an interesting take on SR, and I seem to remember another show talking about this week as well. Tony Farr post: I've never known another game where you get penalized for somebody else's mistakes. Needs to change. And then you have it right here nicely in the script. Robert Burrows posts: That's because iRacing is a motorsport simulator, and in motorsports, you suffer the consequences of others' mistakes.
So well
Yeah,
said, right?
yeah. It was on the iRacing Downshift. They were on this week, and just as an aside, I don't know why they went this week and didn't wait till next week when our dev blog is out. That
Well,
they
they
actually had
they
stuff to talk about.
well they recorded last week because I think they just wanted to talk about NASCAR 25 and then the iRacing arcade.
Yeah, I guess, but it would have been more interesting for them to actually talk about the dev blog like they normally do. But yeah, so this was one of their topics. They made a cheeky reference about, hey, we read the forums, we see this, people complaining about safety rating, and one of the guys on the podcast pretty much said the same thing. He's like, if you get punted in a race, sure, the other person might get a penalty, but your car still gets damaged. Like it's a completely fair system. Um, and I might make some people mad, but I'm kind of tired of hearing about it. I don't have to worry about safety rating, even though I've been crashed in my last two IMSA races, and I had a string of three races at Road Atlanta a while ago where I got taken out three straight times. But I don't have to worry about it because you know what? Because I don't drive like an idiot for the rest of the time I'm in the simulator.
I was getting a little low at Monza because it's easy to just rack up a bunch of 1Xs there, but I've already coming right back up at Canadian because it just you can't abuse the I guess the track limits as easily. Um, yeah, I'm right. What Robert's right. What is missing though is that there's some of the other aspects of real motorsports in that there can be a sanctioning body that deals with people who are repeated idiots that don't get dealt with in official. You get it in league. You can get them dealing with people like our league is. We have a list. We know that they're never going to race with us, and I'm sure William, you've got some guys that you've had to let go that cause repeated problems.
Yep.
You don't have there really needs to be some kind of avenue to start dealing with habitual offenders in a real way other than a week here or a warning there. And I'm not talking about just protesting somebody for one wreck because everybody makes mistakes, but we've got guys we know that are the root of two or three cautions every race, and they're in an official race. There's nothing that can be done about that, and this has nothing to do with safety rating, but it's a part that's missing from the officiating.
Yeah, I'll agree. I don't think it has anything to do with SR, but you're right. To get some of these habitual offenders out, it would be nice if iRacing took a little bit more of an active role in their stewarding in that series.
But they do
Yeah,
they
it's
do get
it's
a
a
shit ton of protests.
yeah. And this is like a weekly meme on the forums at this point with guys complaining about the SR. I have a little bit of a nuanced take on it on road. I'm a horrible road racer. I still have a good SR. I run enough corners to keep it up. I don't cause trouble on there. On oval, I don't get a chance to run that many long races, so that does kill me at times because most officials, unless you're running one of the higher end longer races, most official ovals are, I mean, you guys know what NIS is. It's a hit or miss. I have good weeks and bad weeks, and most of the time it's not me causing a lot of that. But I try to go back and look at what I do. I just think the oval is a little more punishing at times. Although for about a year I had an A and had no problem. It was a bad run at Atlanta, and I don't know what's happened since, but I'll get just enough to get zero, no up or down. That's about where I stay. So
Well, all the nuttiness that I've had and all the bad luck I had this year, I never came close to losing my A and NIS. Uh, but I'm more frustrated with just how many habitual offenders there were causing, 30 cautions at New Hampshire, stuff like that. So safety
mm,
rating is it's really having no effect on the racing. I think it's almost irrelevant.
mm-mm.
All right, we got some events. John, iRacing World Tour.
We do. This is a SimLab sponsored event. They've announced the SimLabs World Tour. They're going to host bi-weekly races, the community races, get people all together. First stop is going to be November 21st, Daytona Road Course, GT3 cars. It's going to be no pit stops. There will be open setups, 45-minute race. So you can get more information about it, I know, on their Discord channel. So that starts in about a week.
Pretty cool.
We also have the Suzuka 1000 coming up this weekend, GT3 class, November 14th through 16th, 1,000 kilometers. The final BOP is released. William, are you running this one?
Yeah, me, Brad, and Will Weaver are gonna give it a go. Probably Saturday at 8 a.m.
Cole, what do you think of the BOP?
Um, I mean, I think it's pretty good. The front engine cars are obviously strong. They, I mean, they lessen the hit to all the front engines equally, so I don't think you're gonna see any major changes there. And I've only driven the Ford there because that's what we decided we were driving, so I can't really compare the other cars, but it should be pretty decent. Still think the front engines are going to be a bit strong, but we'll see.
All right, and before you talk about the rest of this week in iRacing, Brad, there is also the Majors Suzuka season finale this week in the Super Formulas.
All right, and then happening this week in iRacing, as we said, we got the Suzuka 1000. That'll be starting Saturday, and then the Winter iRacing NASCAR Series is back. So this is week one. It'll take place at Daytona International Speedway. So it runs the same time schedule for fixed and open that the normal NIS ran. So that started on Wednesday. So usually pretty decent turnout for that. I loved that era of cars watching it. Just not a huge fan to drive them.
Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. You can get our show notes at the iRacersLounge.com. And we are in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. You can also get your hat, t-shirt, mouse pads at iRacersLounge.shop.
All right, we had week 2 in the iRacers Lounge Polar Series at Rockingham, and once again, we got a 60% length race done in 2 hours. Uh, the winner was Christian Chandler. All right, he wins a lot of our races. He's a fast driver, um, but he had some tough competition. There was a couple other guys that were running in the front as they were swapping tire strategies, and he saved his last set. We had a late caution with about 12 to go. He put on that last set, and especially with it being single file restarts and the lappers on the inside, it was pretty easy for him to work his way back up to the front. How'd you do, Brad?
I think I finished eighth, so it's a challenging race. I'm sure we'll get to it when we get to results, but had a spin after a pit stop. But um, yeah, I'll talk a little bit more. I'm not enjoying the car very much, but
Wesley came in third, who was the winner last week, and Jake Hickson came in second. So I guess we'll cover the rest of the results a little bit later. We did have a few cautions. I know Justin got taken out. I got I guess we'll save that part for the results section. But let's go ahead and read the top five in points as it's kicked in. And I'm using a spreadsheet because I want to, after week five, I want to start counting drop weeks uh, earlier than I think the iRacing system does. So right now, Justin is fifth in points. Teammate Greg Hectus is also in fourth in points. And then the top three from the last race got huge jumps. Jake is in third, Christian is in second, and Wesley holds the point lead by 48 points. Those wins are worth a lot. All right, Mike, hardware section. We have Martini Racing by ASR.
That's right. Advanced Sim Racing showing off a Advanced Sim Racing Pro chassis with the Martini, branding. Red, gray, and with blue stripes. This, on the seat, on the chassis. I mean, it looks sharp. Our teammate Tom Dreiling just told us this week he bought an ASR Pro. I wonder if he got any of this color stuff or this branding.
I think he has not actually bought it. I think he's just decided to buy it.
All right. Well,
It's
hopefully
pretty.
Tom's listening and he might get some other ideas on how to spend Tom's money.
Yeah, it looks really great. They did a one a while ago with the old golf theme, and let me tell you, that was some restraint for me to not even try to find out the price because I probably would have bought it. But yeah, I love these custom ones they do. They look really nice.
Well, while we're at it, we got more rigs. Stage 1 Pro Simulator, Brad.
Yep, we got an Instagram post here from Racing Fuel Simulators. This is the Tony Kanon edition. So it says this is not a sim; it's a piece of art. So the Instagram post here, then we've actually got Tony kind of do a little video talking a little bit about it. Talks about the comes with the direct drive wheel, Husenfeld Ultimate pedals. I think this has got motion to some degree. I don't remember how many degrees it is, but it's I don't know. It's different. It's interesting. I not my cup of tea, but it's it's interesting.
We saw these guys at the Sim Gaming Expo, and I kind of like their setups. They were kind of unique. They kind of look like a bobsled kind of thing. The motion is really low profile. It doesn't take up a big amount of space on the ground, and so they have a lot of good things going for them. I really like the Tony Kanon, green branding that they've done with it. Yeah, pretty cool. They say 25 units available.
We got a lot of rigs up front loaded. Chris, tell us about Podium 1 Racing.
Yeah, so another Instagram post of a custom Podium One racing rig, which this one has some pretty awesome wraparound screens here, but it's a Red Bull themed. Looks like it's got the cubic, excuse me, the cubic motion system on it with these, and I don't even know what size those wraparound screens are, but that's got a full peripheral view with those guys going on. But this is a really good looking rig, great looking wheel. It's pretty decked out. So
Should have given this one to William.
No.
Look,
I'll wear my
Red
Red Bull
Bull.
hat next week.
Yeah, I'll go back and talk about the Porsche one again.
Look, Podium One, it really outdoes himself all the time. But what the unique touch I see on this is the Red Bull branding on the back of the monitors. Like they totally have stickered up the back of the monitor.
I'm sure that's probably what 60, 70 grand.
Probably.
Oh yeah. I think they all look great. I just don't want to commit to something that I mean, I guess if you're a Red Bull fan or a Martini fan, all the Martini one looks better than this one, I think. But if you're a Red Bull fan, I could see it, but even so, like I love a lot of things, but there's just overdoing it at some point. If it was a display model or like out in the middle of a dealership or something, I think that's pretty awesome. But um, I don't know, just too
Or
little
maybe
too loud for my personal taste.
maybe in Red Bull's corporate office.
Yeah,
All right, Brad, SimCube Tuner 3.0 coming soon.
Yep. Got a Instagram post here and just been watching the Discord. So they're going to release Tuner 3.0. This is going to be the software to drive the SemiCube 3. So going to do a complete visual redesign. Again, you get the telemetry effects for the new wheelbase. Again, this is the what they call one-click race. Um, full integration between all of the hardware for SimiCube and integration between other um, wheel manufacturers and whatnot. So looks like it's going to be released on the 24th of November. So those of us that are on SimiCube 2 Pros, I think we'll stay where we're at right now. I think the goal is to eventually move us to this as well. Just depends on what the timing is on it. But look, I know there's been some feedback, quite a bit of feedback in regards to the how the SemiCube 3 is, and I imagine it's mostly software and firmware issues. So hopefully they've kind of gotten that all nailed down, and which would be good because then we can start to see some of the reviews come out for the 3 and see how that's going to look.
Yeah, they talk about stage one, stage two, stage three of how this roadmap of the software will roll out. So I'm encouraged to see stage one, SemiCube Pro 2. They're looking at or investigating how to do telemetry feed force feedback.
All right, the next one doesn't require a whole lot of talk, but the BDH H1SQ Podium 1 edition uh, is on sale for a lot cheaper. So, honey, I saved $600 and only had to spend $800 to do it.
There you go, sim math.
Wait, this ain't Coles.
But look, if you're in the market for this, that's a huge savings. I mean, to
yeah.
get it down to 850, and this is the sequential. So big savings there if this is what you want. I think it's fantastic. It looks great. Just I can't spend that much on a shifter. I'd rather dump that onto a wheel or something else.
All right, Chris, baby's first rig.
That's right. Carl Rosling, he hasn't put out too much lately, but this one caught my eye. I'd seen it somewhere else, but Next Level Racing's got a GT Light Junior edition rig. So start them early, get one of these for them, or just if you're a guy out there and you want to get one and your wife won't let you till you get it for your son or daughter, throw this in the living room and jump on it when you want to. But I didn't catch the price on it. I'm sure it's 300 or more for this, or right around there with Next Level Racing. But it looked like a pretty solid, rig, and the proportions are right. Just for I think it was for ages 6 and up or 7 and up. I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but
I
Could
call
also be
this
used
the
for a
lawn
travel rig.
chair. It's a lawn chair rig.
Yeah, imagine just take these out to the Daytona 24. Let's all get one of these and get a cheaper base and set up a little sim gaming arena right out in the campgrounds.
So $230.
that's not too bad then. That's not bad at all.
Definitely not a permanent rig, but maybe for a kid or, like you said, temporary for camping.
All right, Brad, you might have an answer about why sim racing needs to get rid of USB.
Yeah, we got a video here from Kareth. He was at the Sim Gaming Expo, and he's talking with one of the engineers from SimiCube. Actually, I'm sorry. I think this is the actual CEO of SimiCube, and they spend quite a bit of time talking about just the whole SimiCube development, Light Bridge, the 3, and all of that. But they do get into discussion about some of the issues with USB. And again, we all know that yes, is USB perfect? No, there are issues with USB. You do get disconnects, and it happens. Put haptics on your rig, and you'll get disconnects. It's just what it is. They pop in, they pop out. Um, but I get it to a degree. I just there's a lot of I don't know. I don't see USB in the industry going away anytime soon. And again, I hope they're right, and they might be. It's I don't know. That's a big jump to completely get rid of it completely.
But ultimately, you could still grab any rim and plug it in with USB wired, correct?
Yeah, you can still
Great.
do all that. You just again, you don't get the benefit of the light bridge and the integration with the other wheels and stuff like that. Again, I think I understand why they're saying what they're saying, and it's they've made a choice to go that direction. And look, it's no different than when Apple and the Lightning cable versus the other cable that everybody else used. Well, guess what? Apple finally realized, what, we probably just ought to move to I guess, what is that, a USB-C, like everybody else. So maybe the rest of us will catch up with them at some point. I don't know, um, but time will tell.
Look, I like his vision. I like, he's looking ahead in the racing industry 5 years from now. Or, what, what, how are we going to power our wheels 5 years from now? And so he and his company have built a new technology basically that will do just that. Now it's a and he talks about some of the drawback with USB. Why are people using USB? Because it's convenient. Because that's what is easily available. But it's time to evolve this to the next level. So I really, after seeing the interview with the CEO, I think I get it more about what his vision is and why he's going that direction. It's really a long-term play.
All right, we got a deep dive into force feedback settings. Will, have you looked this over? It's got a really good outline on the script.
Yeah, well, I watched the video too, and it's Race Beyond Matter, and we cover him quite often, and he talks about there's this myth that any filter you apply to your force feedback is bad, right? You want your raw signal, and if you start applying these filters, it's bad, and that's not necessarily true, obviously. But I think it's you have to understand what the filters do because if you start applying filters incorrectly, of course it's going to be bad. But he goes through, and I won't go through all of it. He goes through and tests all the settings. Just a couple examples. He tests, the low filter settings, the inertia settings, and stuff like that. I don't know what all these do, and I honestly don't have the time to learn them. That's why I take profiles from people I trust and people who I know are racing and feel good to me. But it's a really interesting video if you really do want to understand what you can do to your force feedback coming through the wheel.
Yeah, if you want to learn how to make your own steering profile, this is a must video. I mean, because you learn about what these different things mean, what happens when you slide this, left to right, kind of thing. Look, for me, I'm like William. I don't know what this is. I'm not trying to learn what it is. I'm just going to load up somebody else's profile. That's what I want.
I sent this one in, and on Fanatec, I never used Fanalab, and they would have profile sharing on there. But for the longest time, like everybody else, hey man, run everything at 0, run your force feedback all the way up. Like don't use any of these latency this, latency that. And quite honestly, before this video came out, I had started to play with it a little bit. Turned the damper on. I had turned some of the other stuff on. I think friction a little bit. But what was coming from a place of complete ignorance in the beginning, and I'm driving, I let go of my force feedback wheel, and it's got the freaking death roll from a motorcycle immediately when you let go. That's not the way a normal car works. So I had already started looking this out, but when he going through the inertia thing, it just he cranks it all the way up to 100%, and he's just able to steer the car so much better, and there's no oscillations going down the straight. I don't necessarily go for that. I think depending on your force feedback and every wheelbase, it's going to be a little bit different, right? But for me, giving some weight to the wheel where you don't have to death grip it the whole time, where the second you let off, you have an oscillation or you feel like you're it's loose and just kind of jumping all over the place. It was super helpful to me when I kind of went down that road and started dialing some of that in. I don't go too far on any of the stuff, but anything to keep that wheel a little more like a normal, I jump in my car, jump back in the rig and go, okay, this has a little more weight to it. Whereas before it felt really light or just overly, I don't know, jumpy, I guess is a good word for it. But I thought it was a good video too.
All right, I'm going to jump around on the script a little bit because we want to get all of the Black Friday listings in. So help me out if I miss one. But the first one I see is GSI Black Friday sale. It's an
Mhm.
Instagram post between 15 to 20% off. I don't know on what gear or if it's on
Store
everything.
wide, it says.
It is store wide. And what's particularly important to note is their headquarters is in Dallas, so no tariffs.
Well, that's nice.
You got SemiQ Black Friday sale as well. So they're calling this the heist of the century. So up to 30% off SemiCube 2 Sport, 20% off. I think the SemiCube 2 Pro. The caveat with this is you got to sign up because it's only 200 units is what they're doing.
Brad, are you any FOMO that you missed a deal here? Or
No, what I spent, it's about the same. So no.
Did you get about the same price you would have gotten if you had gotten one of the rigs at the expo?
No, no. It probably bought one of the ones that was bought from the expo, with the markup. So, but it would have come in if I'd waited and done the Black Friday here. If I could have gotten one of those 200, it would have been within a few dollars of virtually the same thing. So, no, I'm good.
All right. Even though it's not a Black Friday, I do want to go ahead and cover this one because we've kind of already broken this since the expo, but it's official now. Sim Labs has landed in the U.S. They have their U.S. web shop open. You can get faster shipping, reduced cost, and local stock.
you missed one. That was
Yeah,
the
we're kind
four,
of skipping around.
right, the 49-inch ultra wide on Black Friday at Costco. No, excuse me, not Costco, Sam's Club. 49-inch curved display for $679.
Okay, it
I'll
didn't
pass.
say Black Friday. I blame Brad.
Wonderful.
I can't blame it on the rain. And what we got another one that's a video of all sim racing Black Friday deals in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, this is what about OC Racing. So just to kind of give you, we got it in the script here. It's kind of just a breakdown. Moser Racing starting November 14th, up to $50 off select products. Fanatec's got one start the 24th um, through the 28th, I guess. So let's just hope that Corsair is not going to repeat any past Black Friday issues. SemiQ, which we've already discussed, GSI, we've also discussed as well. And then cockpits and accessories sim lab is doing 11% off. Track Racers got various different stuff. I keep getting emails every day. Six Sigma sim racing as well, and then Simpson pedals, and then distributors. Podium One is offering 20% off turnkey setups, and up to 40% off peripherals. So, and then SimEU, which is in Europe, stuff starts on the 14th. I do want to go. I do want to go back up to the Sim Labs, open up the US web store. I did see that none of the grid stuff right now I think is going to be available through that just because of they're still dealing with some of the tariff issues. So if you were looking to get the Mercedes wheel, not going to happen.
Hmm.
Okay, we can start talking results, starting with our league race.
Rockingham. David, you start off P18.
Yep, I failed to qualify. I got loose coming to the start finish line on the first lap, which killed my second lap as well. Um, then I'm taking it easy in the back. Not, I'm going forward. I'm not just completely staying behind the whole pack, but I'm going forward. and there's a wreck. I get caught up with 6 minutes of damage. I'm like, I can probably get this fixed. So I start in the back again. There's another wreck, unable to avoid it. Now I have no right front wheel. I went a lap down just in the process of getting back to the pits, and went ahead and went 30 laps down, fixing all the damage. And just I ran the rest of the race basically in tiptoe mode. I went out and I was like, I'm gonna try to go I'm gonna try to go fast, and if I catch a lead lap car, I'm gonna try to pass them, but I'm gonna do it super carefully. And if they're in a battle for a position, I'll just stay out of the way. And that's basically what I did the whole night. Did have a little fun with another lapper who wanted to give me the Ryan Newman treatment, and if I was fighting for a position, he it probably would have ended up more of an aggressive situation. But since we were just kind of at that point racing for pride and fun, we just ran side by side for a few laps because it didn't matter if we used each other's car up or not.
Okay, Brad, P8.
Yeah, started P7. Kind of decided to kind of lay back a little bit to start save some tires. I think these were pretty good until about the second half of the race. Ended up pitting a little bit early. Kind of drove a little too hard, so ended up burning the right front off. But got tires, so of course lost a lap with that, and then within a couple laps, just coming out of fourth, the car just snapped. I really don't feel like I did anything different. Just I don't know, whatever, cold tires. That's fun. I lost another lap there, so unfortunately, that kind of was right in the middle of green flag stops and kind of messed up some guys. But it is what it is. Um, Really challenging track and car combo. Didn't hate it, but and I think I said before, the force feedback in this car is just it's really odd, and I can't seem to get it to where it's just not it's not enjoyable to drive. And that's just being honest. It just feels like it's just it chatters and it's just not it's not enjoyable. Maybe next week will be better. I don't know, but I would not drive this every week if this is how it always is.
Justin Pearson was taken out. Greg Hectus,
Mike, I think you're
P5.
muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Yeah, and then Greg Hectus, P5. I ran P6. I had a good run going. I ended up spinning by myself down to the inside. I lost my track position. I ran as high as P2, P3, P4, those kind of spots. But I finished P6. We'll take it as a one off. I was off work, was able to join the guys. Chris, you had a P14.
Yeah, I had a P14. Started out all right, first half a lap, and then got caught up in whatever was going on in the first lap, or maybe the first part of the second lap. But caught up on the top lane and had about 3 minutes of damage. Luckily, we had some more cautions there at the beginning. Was able to get it fixed over the course of those, but just barely staying on the lead lap. And then I kind of like Brad hit the gas a little too hard coming out of four, drove through the infield. Um, and I used up my tires too much on the second or third stint there and just kind of fell back. So finished 14. I think I started 18th, so it was positive, but it definitely is a tricky car to drive. I never feel comfortable anywhere on the track with it, really.
I do have a name correction. It's pistol or pistol, not just basically like the gun. It's not pistoli, even though pistoli sounds fancy. That's not how he pronounces his name. And I said it wrong again earlier. We had some cautions here, and it sucks. Some of our teammates and I got involved in those again. But overall, at a Rockingham race, where I remember when a Pacific Majors race ran over the time limit of 4 hours, I'm pretty impressed with the clean racing that we had overall at a hard track. So I hope I'd like to encourage more people that are listeners to sign up if you like to run clean racing. You don't have to be a 5,000 I rating guy. There's a wide skill level in this field, but it's an equal respect level. Everybody doesn't race like assholes. So if you want to come race in a league that does that, come sign up.
All right, moving on to Gen 4 fixed official. I ran Old Texas, 15 cars, one split. Qualified 11th, ran around 10th most of the race. but finished with a respectable P5. It was actually lots of fun. A Open, Brad, P11, Michigan.
Yeah, took a couple shots at Michigan this week. Best finish was a P11. Top split. Had a stacked house in this one. Coke Series driver Graham Bolden was in there. So I kind of felt like I ran a good, clean race. But I remember when we ran here back at NIS, it's just hard to pass. Super hard to pass in this car. It's pretty easy to start a pass, just very hard to complete it. Had a green white checkered, was able to grab a spot or two coming to the line. So had a good time. It's nice to get back in the car, turn left. So I guess I fell off the wagon. William, I apologize. You weren't there for me. I called you, but you didn't pick up.
Ringmeister. I ran last week, Saturday night, the Audi GTO 90 twice and wrecked out twice. Ouch. IMSA, David, P1.
Yeah, I took a P1 at Monza. One guy was a little bit faster, but I don't know if he just made a mistake on the fueling or had some kind of damage because he had to pit and was he had to pit twice, and that was the second fastest car, but took the win. And then I ran at Mosport as well. Uh, had decent speed, but P6 was what I pulled off there.
Well done, Brad, P7.
Yeah, so got another one in at Monza. Was actually able to put kind of an entire race together. Got a decent finish of seventh. So just this is another one of those races where we just got a huge gap in SOF between the classes. I think this was almost 1,000 I rating between the LMP2s and GTDs. It's just certain tracks that makes it miserable. And I mean, this is one of them. I mean, literally, LMP2s were parking it in the middle of every chicane, and it's just, gosh, it's frustrating. And guys making late passes and late bombs, and it's just I saw some more just it's just crazy. I don't know how people. Oh, it's frustrating.
All right, and then William, P7.
Yeah, this is Monza on Saturday. It's probably my only IMSA I will do, or it was my only IMSA I did at Monza. I just don't really care for the track. I qualified slow, started P9, even though I knew I was faster than some of the guys in front of me. Gained some spots from spins, overtakes, gained another spot in the pits. Was fighting with third, the guy who was not the cleanest racer. He went off slightly in Lesmo, and I got around him. Tries to overtake me next lap and pushes me straight off the track on exit. Get past him again in Ascari, and he does the same thing going into turn one. So at this point, I'm kind of frustrated. I get back by him again, and then going into turn one on the last lap, he just takes me out. Complete dive bomb, pushed me entirely through the corner, spun me. Luckily, I didn't get any damage, but fell back to seventh. Just frustrating, like we talked about earlier, that iRacing is not just a little bit more active in their stewarding. I get it; they get a ton. We'd have to add people to actually steward the races instead of just getting the intentional stuff out. But man, a day like that, it's just frustrating. And I agree with Brad. Get the 1.1 SOF LMB2s out of my 3K GT3 split, please.
So you think it would be a lesser evil to slide that whole group right to a split with GT3s and LMP or
I mean,
GTPs that are
yeah,
closer?
I get it. You want your higher splits to have all three classes. It's IMSA, it's iconic. But when you have a discrepancy that's 2K different between the classes, I think that's just too much.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah.
I'm just putting the pro and con of the move.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a good answer, to be honest. I just think that you're causing more problems leaving them there than it would create to just knock them down a split.
That might be a good poll. We'll start with the listener poll and then throw it maybe into the Irish's forums.
All right, leagues, grassroots racing, William, P3.
Yeah, we were at Mosport this week. Sprint race. I qualified a little back from where I thought my pace was in P4. I had absolutely nothing for the top two. They took off in the left. Normally, I feel like I can compete for the win on most tracks in this league, but here, I mean, they knew something I didn't. Rode in P4 to the pit stop. I had a little bit of pressure from behind, but unfortunately, that guy spun before the pit stop. Traffic wasn't bad. GPTs didn't do anything wrong. It's just really challenging on this track overall. So I would get a gap behind me, and then traffic would hit, and that would disappear, and then we'd have to do it again. Don't know what happened to P3 in the pits, but I came out of the pits in third, about 8 seconds behind the top two, and just rode it out to the end. Ended up finishing like 12 seconds behind them. Decently, I don't want to say easy podium, but just kind of cruise to the end. I'll take it.
Brad, P7.
Yeah, thought my qual lap would have been a little bit better than it was, but I kind of started, I think, right about mid pack 16th, I think. I think we had 30, 32, 33,
34 GT3.
34. So, like William said, just a very challenging track, especially to overtake. When you're very similar in speed, it's hard to find places to pass. And then once you throw traffic in there, it gets even more complicated. So, like I said to William, I think earlier, I know I got an instant coming. I got frustrated and made a move, and it didn't work. So that's okay. I don't do that very often. So
It happens, man. It happens.
yeah.
I've done that
So
before.
managed to get up to about P8 or so before pit stops, and I had wherever we were, the guy was right behind me, so I was trying to get as much as I could coming in, so I didn't hit my pit limiter. Um, Trying to come in as fast as I could, and forgot that I didn't have it on. So of course, pit stop's done, and I take off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going 50 some miles an hour. So I ended up with a black flag. Had to come back in. So self-inflicted wounds are always the worst.
David, P10.
Yeah, just like William is pretty confident that he can battle for the win at most races, I'm pretty confident that I can battle for not being last, and I won in that goal. I came in 10th. That was the speed I had. Everybody else that was in front of me was faster, and nobody really wrecked out this time. I don't think so.
Yeah, we had a couple incidents, but overall, it was a fairly clean race.
Elbows out, Racing League, P awful.
Yep. So we raced at Red Bull Ring. I don't know why they really deviated from the official schedule because most of our schedule is matching it. But if I didn't already have a deep hatred for Algarve and Portimao, um, yeah, those two, I would by far Red Bull Ring would be my least favorite track. Um, I was already annoyed because I'm slightly off pace to people who I'm normally the same speed as, and then I got taken out on turn 3 in lap 1. Just fun, no damage, but it put me 15 seconds behind. I left the guy plenty of room on the inside. He just didn't turn. He turned the wheel like he was gonna be able to have the full outside of the corner, and that's 3 weeks in a row in this league. So it's getting a little bit frustrating. First one, I don't think it was necessarily the other guy's fault, but these last two definitely were. So I'm getting a little bit frustrated. I had recovered to about 7th after the pit stops when I came up on lap traffic that wouldn't get out of the way. That brought the guy behind me back from about a 5 second gap. And then I pulled a wheel weaver at Mexico and spun in frustration just trying to get around the lap traffic. And then on the last lap, I was nursing 13 incidents when the guy behind me just doesn't brake going into turn 3. I should probably just stay away from that turn. And drove into me, gave me a drive through on the last lap that I couldn't serve. So I think I ended up finishing like P16 or 17.
Ouch. All right, races I ran. Chris McGuire, Supercars at Michigan, finished P6. I was in the mix in the top 3 most of the night with Tony Stewart, of all people. And there was another guy in there, pretty cool. Now, we tried to get Tony on the mic to talk, and he wouldn't talk, but he did put in the text something about, he said, sim craft driving. And so I don't know if that meant there was somebody else driving under Tony's account or what it was, but it was definitely his account. Tomorrow at Talladega, we started dead last, got to 11th by the end of lap 1. I missed that huge wreck. Later, a competition caution. I was up to 5th, ran top 5 for the rest of the event, was 3rd on the final lap, but got dumped in a big wreck. Then Supercars at Michigan started 16th, got up to the lead, traded the lead back and forth for 10 laps, ended up winning the race. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Man, I love to win. Then it was IndyCars at Iowa. I got wrecked out, but with a caution was able to recover to finish P10. Then I tried Carburetor Cup at Atlanta. I qualified 7th out of 19. Got to the lead there near the end. I was in 2nd, trying to get a run on the guy. I eventually did on the white. I got to the outside, and then 3rd place decided to line up with the guy on the bottom. So I got hung out. So P2. I did call out over the radio, hey, dude, you pushed the wrong guy. Then I ran pickup cup at Phoenix, qualified fifth, got to third, and then the first two corners, and then the next set of corners, I got ran over from behind. I did rally to finish P6. All right, final thoughts, Brad Wren.
Just want to give a shout out to Premier Racing Setup. So, we had Richard on the show, and I appreciate him coming on. But look, if you're looking for a setup shop, I think it's probably the best value. Whether you do individual sets or if you do a subscription, you heard us talk. Super happy with sets all year. I've paid for sets. I've run sets from other shops, and like David said, these just feel like they're made more for the normal person. I'm a 3,000 I rating, but I was could keep up with the guys in top split at Michigan. And all year the sets were very good. So just want to thank him for supporting the podcast. We appreciate it. Going to try to get a couple of the setup builders on the show before NIS starts back up. Would like to pick their brains a little bit, just to give listeners a little bit more information about what they do. There's just questions I want to ask, and just set up strategy, because there's, on the next gen side, it's two different sets, two different builders, and they are, while they will run similar times, the setups are feel definitely different. So again, just want to give a big shout out to them. They supported us all year, and we'll be back for 2026 as well. So just a big shout out to Richard. Thank you guys, and then to Scott and Brandon. You guys do a great job, and we appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Thank you to Premier Setups. We're really happy to be involved with them. David Hall, final thought.
Same thing with Premiere. The setups are awesome for sure. Come join the league if you're not running. It's fun. You don't have to be, a super fast driver. We definitely would love to see the numbers. We had a good turnout, even though a couple of our guys ended up having schedule conflicts. But I'd like to see it get up to 30 or 35, and as long as we can still keep that clean racing. I am running in the majors this weekend in the Super Formula at Suzuka. I'm going to go probably set a pre-queue here in about an hour for that. And also, we have the Daytona 24 in the global endurance running next week. I think Tom and Mike and Greg are going to run that with me. So let's see if we can sneak a podium out of that. We had a P3 back in the spring when I went back and looked.
Yeah, real proud of that podium. That's on my resume. John Curley, final thought.
Yeah, looking forward to the Winter NIS this weekend. Going to get one or two races in. And then, man, I've been doing a lot of shopping on these Black Friday deals, and I keep bouncing back and forth on the new rig. Do I want the advanced or the ASR? And then I go to Sim Lab, and then I go to Track Racer, and then I bounce back. So, but I'm going to pull the
ASR,
trigger.
ASR. Just you got to pay a little bit of tariffs, but
Yes,
go ASR.
yeah. I mean, it's got my eyes. Got my eyes.
Yeah, ASR 6. I like it. All right, Chris Randall, what do you got?
Just echo on the league. It's been fun. I'm a testament. You do not have to be fast. In fact, it'd be better if you were a little bit slower than I am, so I can finish a little higher. But that'd be great. But other than that, tearing apart my rig this week. Hopefully, putting the new Cubic 220 on over the next week or so. So, not sure if I'll make next week's race, but we'll see how that goes. It's a complete rebuild, so we'll see if everything goes back together correctly and works when I fire it up. So excited about that.
You got quite a project ahead of you building that thing. So good luck.
Yep.
William Westbrook, final thought.
Yeah, so I know it's not frustrated during results, but overall the fall's been really good racing for me. We're 4 races in the grassroots, and all those races have been really, really good. I wish we had a couple more GTPs and a couple more GT3 Pros. We're kind of AM heavy right now, but again, the racing just so far for me has been very, very good. And then in IMSA, I think I'm sitting like 15th in the standings, and I haven't done most sport yet, and I skipped 2 races earlier in the year. So once drops start coming in, I'm hoping to get a really good finish in there. Like I said, fall's been really good. I think I'm at my highest high rating ever in road, so I'm looking forward to just continuing that. Hopefully, we'll get something for the end of the year.
All right, my final thought. I had a win this week, and I was looking back at my stream, replay that I post, to social media of my win, and I'm pumping my fist, and I got my gardening gloves on. I'm like, oh my God, that's not the look I want, the brown gardening gloves. So I put it out, spend Mike's money, tell me what glove I should buy. And so the community stepped up in the Discord. I got all kinds of ideas and different gloves, different companies to look at. Been shopping all week. And guess what? I ended up buying some gloves last night. I picked Daniel Morad and his new Aura Pro. And he had a deal where you get free sim socks if you buy a set of gloves. So I got sim socks coming. I got gloves coming. I paid extra to get my name and the USA flag on it, which I think is a neat touch. And looking forward to trying Daniel's gloves. And that's my next purchase. And with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later. All right, title ideas.
Overholics Oval Holics Anonymous. That has to do with Brad coming back to ovals.
I like number 2. Everyone vote.
1.
2.
I guess 1.
Yeah, 1.
Okay.
All right, 1 it is. Good show, guys.
You can make that one word if it looks better.
Probably would. Yeah, take out the space there. I like the capital H though, with no space.
All right.
All right, and then I'll pull up your 24 schedule.
Yeah.
Good show, guys.
Thank you all.
Depending on,
Appreciate it.
I'm curious. I want to know what y'all have available because we're also Saturday night doing a simulation of the first night of Enduring Freedom, and so I have a 5-hour F-18 flight that they want me to fly. Maybe not 5 hours, but it's like about an 800-mile flight with refueling along the way.
I don't see the link. Can you send the link?
I dropped it in production this time.
Okay.
All right. I will see y'all soon.
Later.
Later.